Hello everyone, and a warm welcome to today's session of daily news analysis, where we are going to do the most important news headlines from the Hindu newspaper as well as the Indian Express. And once we are done with the Hindu news analysis, then we are going to discuss the 20 GK question, which have been specifically created from the Hindu newspaper as well as the Indian Express. So let's start with the news headlines for today. The first news headline is the first page of the Hindu is regarding a particular direction which has been given by the Supreme Court of India to the government. So recently, let's understand the context of it. So what happened is recently that there was a report that Nestle company was, which is famous for making cereals and baby products, baby food products. It was found that it was having a lot of sugar in its food, sugar in the baby food above the allowed limit. Apart from it, the other thing which recently happened was that in Hong Kong, or Hong Kong government actually banned MDH and Everest spices because there were traces of pesticides. And moreover, the immediate reason for this particular case was that Patanjali and its founder director Baba Ramdev, who is also its ambassador, and Balakrishnan, who is the current CEO of that company, actually they were reprimanded by the court. They were reprimanded by the Supreme Court for doing misleading acts, acts wherein they were saying that their medicine, coronal medicine, can actually cure cancer. And not just for coronal, they were earlier also making such kind of claims like their medicines can actually cure diabetes and there won't be any requirement of insulin. So, in the context of this case, the Supreme Court has recently asked the government that it should also act against other FMCG companies. So, what is the full form of FMCG is one of the 20 GK questions which you have to answer today. Okay, so take action against them because this fact that Patanjali was able to do such a misleading acts under the nose of the government shows the apathy, shows the apathy of the government, shows the apathy of the government towards such consumer issues. So it directed the government that it should not only take action against Patanjali. And right now, the court is itself taking actions against Patanjali. And court has been very clear that unless they take proper action, Patanjali and Baba Ramdev, etc., take proper action, they would be held as guilty of contempt of court. They would be guilty of contempt of court. And now the government has been told that it should start taking actions against FMCG if they are doing any misleading act. So the relevant law regarding this is Drug and Magical Remedies Act. It's a very old act, and under this particular act, there are certain types of illnesses and disease. Certain diseases and illnesses have been listed here. For example, your diabetes is an example. Although COVID is not mentioned, but like AIDS, etc. So these diseases, yeah, these illnesses actually do not have a particular cure for it. For example, there is not a foolproof scientific cure for all these diseases, and in no case, you can make a claim. In no case, you can make a claim that you can cure it. In no case, you can make a claim that you can cure it. Leave alone, even if there is a scientific proof. As of now, the law does not allow it that you can put up a ad showing that you are able to cure it. And what Patanjali was doing was that it was claiming that its medicines like coronal and its medicines for diabetes can actually cure these diseases. And they stated that their medicines is WHO approved. They stated that it has been proved in the labs also. There are evidences also. However, the truth of the matter is they did not had any WHO certification. They did not had any scientific proof to back that they are having this particular remedy for it. Okay, so that's why this issue has come up. Moving on to the next news. So sorry for the technical delay. There was some technical error. However, now moving on to the next important news. It is regarding a particular action which has been taken up by IRDA, stands for Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority of India. So we have done this in a very short earlier also. So this is the regulating authority, Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority. It is a regulating authority for insurance in India. For insurance in India. And what it has recently done is it has actually earlier there was a age limit. Earlier there was a age limit above which there was a age limit above which you cannot have a insurance policy. So you have to be of that age or below that age to allow for a insurance policy, and that age limit was 65 years. So if you are a person below this age, then you can have an insurance policy earlier, and if above this age, then you cannot have an insurance policy. Now, what IRDA has done is that it has removed age limit. It has removed age limit, so there is no age limit for it. You can be a 100-year-old person, and the insurance company can actually sold you that particular insurance scheme to you. Okay, so now this age limit has been removed. However, here the author or here the editorial is asking, yeah, is arguing that it is not just enough. The reason being that if we look at certain reports which are coming up, for example, it is talking about a particular report known as India Aging Report. So this is also a question in your 20 GK question, that which of the following is a publisher of India Aging Report. So as per India Aging Report, as of now, old या senior people above the age of 60 constitute 10% of the population. They are just 10%. However, by the year 2050, we would become 30% of the population. And it is alarming because 30% of India's population, because India has a large number of population, 30% of population would be more than population of many large countries. It would be more than population of many large countries. 30% population of India would be the total population of many other countries. And this would be people who are above 60 years. And as you may know, you must be seeing old people around you, your dada, dadi, etc. You must have seen कि if a person reaches a certain age, then health ailments increases. Health in ailments, issues, etc. increases, because of which they are more in requirement of health facilities, better health facilities, and more importantly, health facilities which are in tune with their requirements, with requirements of the old age people, yes, with requirements of the senior citizens. So because of this, these are certain things which the policymaker should also consider. So they are stating that as of now, it is not like there are no policies. So there are policies for 60, 65 years old people. However, if you know this, that the insurance premium or the yearly premium for which you pay for keeping your insurance keep increasing. So more older you get, your premium for insurance, life insurance, your health insurance, etc., the premium increases. If your car is old also, then also your premium increases as per your age of the car. तो यहाँ पे तो आदमी की बात हो रही है, तो whenever a person gets older, its premium increases. So here the editorial is arguing that, let's say if a policy is allowed, and let's say a 70-year-old person or 75-year-old person is going to take a health insurance, he's starting to take a new policy, then the premium would be so high that he would be discouraged because the premium is so high that he would be discouraged to take such a policy, which means IRDA not just it is a good step that they have removed the age limit, but IRDA should also make sure that there is or certain range in which the premium of that policy was done. Basically, for example, just an example that, for example, a 35 or 40-year-old person is taking a health insurance, and let's say his premium is 12,000. Then if a 75-year-old person is taking a premium, it should not be double of it, 24,000, 26,000. If for general person it's 12,000 rupees, it is acceptable that it can be 15, 16, or at max 18. So you can provide a range of 15,000 to 18,000 as premium range if they are providing for 75 years. And the author or the editorial is also arguing that apart from this policy, because our health system is already not enough, the health system is already not enough for the population, we actually needs to improve the health facility also at the same time. We have to improve the health facility outside, and there should be more focus towards public health facility. Why? Because if a person is able to afford an insurance policy at that age, he would probably be going to a private health facility. And private health facilities are good enough to take care of such person. However, India has a lot of population which is in the poor segment of the population, and they won't be able to afford the premium of a health insurance. So for those people, specifically old age people of that age, old age people of that age, there should be a well-tuned public health facilities, your hospitals, your primary centers, primary health centers, etc., should be equipped enough to deal with the poor people or poor old age people of that age, so that even if a person is a poor or is a person is a rich person is and he is of above 65 years of age, then he is also able to take good care of his health. So this is what the this particular article is arguing. Moving on. So next is regarding a very important topic related to election and to law also. So as the title stated, excessive restriction. So right now there is a case going on in Supreme Court, and many activists have gone to the court and have stated that during elections, during election period, if they want to hold any kind of rally or public meeting, if they want to hold any rally or public meeting, the district magistrate, executive magistrate, etc., are not giving them permission to hold. Which means there is kind of a blanket ban. Right? What is a blanket ban? Ki there is no exception to it. There is no specifications for it. Straightforward, there is a ban on all kinds of public meetings. And the Supreme Court itself has said that it is shocked to know that how come there can be a how can there can be a blanket ban on a person's fundamental right to hold a meeting. So holding a meeting is actually your fundamental right also, and only there can only be reasonable restrictions that can be imposed to stop this, yeah, to restrict this your fundamental right. However, Supreme Court has stated that the practice of this blanket ban is actually wrong. So what has happened is, if you know this, you must have heard of this, Section 144 of CRPC. तो सेक्शन 144 जिसको अपन धारा 144 भी बोलते हैं हिंदी के अंदर में, इट्स अ वेरी फेमस provision of the CRPC, and it is continuously being used. It is regularly being used, and I would say also being misused by authorities. So what this does is that if a particular district or a particular area has been under Section 140 or Section 144 is imposed in a particular area, then any kind of public act, for example, holding a public rally or assembly, a public assembly would require the permission of would require permission of district magistrate. And what these activists have been arguing is that, let's say, whenever there is an election season and basically the admission is under Election Commission of India, those administrator does not want to do their work, and they just put up a blanket ban. They just state that of no kind of such act, no kind of such rallies or etc. would be allowed. Even if it's a non-political rally, etc., they want to raise some health issue, education related issue, they cannot hold such kind of meetings, assemblies, or rally because such a permission is usually. Now the Supreme Court has stated that there cannot be a blanket ban, and the particular district magistrate or whoever is the authority at the district level who is responsible for giving permission should take a decision within 3 days. Okay, so they have to decide on that particular show within 3 days and reply to the particular person who has applied for it. Okay, so this is the main crux of this particular article. Moving on. So another article from the Hindu editorial is regarding the changes in the democratic process or changing in the mood of the people or their attitude towards democracy in the world. So if you will read this particular, if you will start reading this particular article, you will find out that here he has given a context why he has got up with this. So right now, because we know an election is going on and India is actually the largest democracy of the world. Can you tell me which is the oldest modern democracy? Oldest modern democracy. So ancient democracy is a different thing. So it would be basically it is, but which is the oldest modern democracy? India is obviously the largest democracy in the world. So now he has provided a context. Then he has provided certain data why they are saying that the democracy is in a recession. So recession is basically an economic term. So if you know that either you can have a growth or you may have a fall in the economy. So when you have a fall for 2 quarters, it is known as recession, and if it continues, it becomes a depression. Okay, so recession basically a downfall in the democracy of the world. So here they have he is talking about a particular research being done by Pew Research Center, and they did a survey and there they went to different countries and asked, oh, what is your view regarding democracy? And the answers were very shocking because now the people did not want full democracy and they actually were in favor of a autocratic rule. Basically, they wanted a strong leader to lead them. Strong leader to lead them. And this is alarming because so right now this research actually took place in 2023 and the last research took place in 2017. So from 70%, this has increased to 77%. Okay, so although there is optimism about democracy, but still there is a fall for it. Okay, earlier people were wanting direct democracy, but now they wanted an kind of a elected autocracy. Okay, so this is being mentioned here only. So once he has given the data for how the people in different countries have experienced or how kind of what kind of democracy they want, he comes to the example of Indians also. So in this particular survey, Indians have also responded, and wherein he is giving a particular data wherein he is stating that in 2017, 44% were in favor of a democracy. However, now only 36% have trust in the democracy or they want a representative democracy. And now this is a negative trend, and there is a positive trend also regarding that from 55% in 2017, right now it is 67% in 2023. People wanting that 67% of people want that there should be a powerful leader lead them. And you must understand where this debate is going on. Basically, as you can see that Prime Minister Modi has been ruling since 2014. And since he is a popular leader, people are wanting that rather than having a representative democracy. They do not want that all the MPs, MLAs should be of such integrity, etc. As long as they can get a powerful leader to lead them properly, they are okay with not even having representative democracy. You just appoint a particular leader and they are happy with. Okay. Apart from it, they are also stating about that even there has been increase in responses of people that they are even okay with a military rule. So and it is not a small number that people around 85% of Indians are now in agreement with having a military rule or governance by an authoritative leader. Who is an authoritative leader? Basically, who is not concerned with the principles of democracy. It is up to him. It is up to him, his whims and fancies. Whatever action he wants to take, he can take it. And after he's done with these data, so I'll tell you right now that these data is not important for you. You just have to understand how the democracy is changing. And now he's pointing it out that this is not a phenomena just limited to India, but many other countries in Southern America as well as certain European countries and in Africa also. There is a trend. There is a trend towards authoritarian governments. Authoritarian governments, it's a trend which is common to many developing countries, to be exact. So if you are in a developing country, there is a trend towards moving towards authoritarian. However, where the countries are more developed, like your Canada, Europe, US, your Scandinavian countries, your Norway, Sweden, etc., there the number of people who still believe in democracy is still high. Okay, once he is done with this, he's also talking about another such report. So there is a democracy report. There is a democracy report wherein this democracy report is stating, yeah, it is putting forward the idea that actually India is also moving towards autocracy only. It's a kind of a flawed democracy, and most of the people, or if they want to categorize this Indian democracy in a way, it would be categorized as a electoral democracy. Not democracy, but electoral autocracy. As per this report, India would be categorized as an electoral autocracy. Basically, that there would be election, but there would be one election 5 years. After that, whoever comes to power would be an autocratic ruler. Okay, so that's how they have graded India. So this is this. After this, once he has shown you the problem and the extent of problem, now he is giving you arguments. Now he is giving you arguments why we need to tackle this problem. What is the need to get back to democracy? So here on, he has provided you with certain tenets of democracy. There are certain features or principles of democracy which are actually very important. For example, if we have a democratic system, then whatever are the problems in a society, like for example, there is corruption, unemployment, etc. The elected government is more responsive to the needs of the people or to the demands of the people. On the other hand, if it's an autocratic government, it does not care about the particular needs of the people. And herein, he is talking about two very good works which have been done by certain peoples, and certain principles have been provided to you. For example, in this particular book, he's talking about what are the main four pillars of democracy. So first is participation. Second is there should be free and equal elections. Third being education and information, and fourth being accountability and justly governance. So all of these are actually part of a democratic society, and we should try to incorporate all of this into our democracy. Okay. Apart from it, the second system he has provided civic bargain system. And again, just like I explained it to you, ki how come when you appoint a particular person to a particular seat or a particular office, then he also has a particular responsibility towards you. That is the second one. However, apart from this, he has also provided another his own solution or his ultimate solution. So we can say it's a kind of a conclusion to this article that apart from the above things, in addition, governance should prioritize inclusivity and unity while tackling political polarization and addressing diverse societal needs. So now he has argued that apart from all this solution which I have told you in the previous paragraph, apart from it, there should also be a focus toward inclusivity, that no kind of social group based on religion, race, caste, etc., age, etc., or either on economic status, etc., should not be left behind. The unity of India should also be promoted, and there should not be any political polarization. For example, on the basis of religion, that there should not be any Hindu Muslim, or there should not be any division on the basis of caste. That one is a SC/ST, one is a OBC, one is a general caste. So there should not be any kind of polarization also. Moreover, he's also talking about tackling problems like economic inequality, trying to provide social justice, and also looking at the environmental sustainability. So, environmental should also be put as one of the issue when it's come to politics in India. And that's how he has finally concluded that if we going to do all these things, then we would be able to preserve our democracy in India also. It is very much. So that is the whole crux of this particular article for. Again, remember this, you do not have to know the facts and figures. Whatever relevant question for GK, which can come up from this one-liners, etc., are being incorporated in 20 GK questions only. So just try to understand it. You do not have to make separate notes also for these kind of articles. Just have a reading of such articles and try to understand what the trend in democratic setup is. Okay. Moving on. So in the text and context section, just like the explain section of the Indian Express, here they have argued, yeah, they are talking about the Prime Minister Awas Yojana. So it's a very famous, one of the flagship scheme of the Ministry of Housing, etc. And it has two components specifically: Prime Minister Awas Yojana for urban areas, and the other was for Gramin or rural area. So this scheme, which was launched in the year 2015, it has targeted that it is going to create 20 million households, 20 million houses by 31st March 2022. So this was the main objective, and this particular article is regarding how this mission, how the scheme has fared. So this article tells you that the objective of doing 20 million houses by 31st March 2022, it was not able to get completed. After this, there were certain changes, and what right now the status is, now the government has decided that it is only going to continue with Prime Minister Awas Yojana Gramin component, wherein they have put up a date of this. The next date was 31st, 2024, wherein they have decided that whatever are the approved project, whatever were the approved project by this date, were to be completed. So this date is also gone. And as of now, another extension has been provided to complete the already approved houses under this scheme. So this scheme, which was launched in 2015, shall be completed by 2024. However, you should understand that the target time was 31st March 2020. Some facts about the schemes are that this is a centrally sponsored scheme. So there are two types of central scheme. One is a central sector scheme. The other is a sponsored scheme. And the main difference between a sector scheme and a sponsored scheme is that in the central sector scheme, the 100% of funding comes from the central government. However, in the central sponsored scheme, there is a ratio between center and state. So it is possible that the center is providing 90% and the state is only providing 10. It can be 50-50 also, and there can be 25-75, any kind of ratio. However, a sponsor scheme means that the center is not going to provide you with a 100% funding for this. So in this scheme, actually, only 25% was being provided by the center, 10 to 15% was being provided by the state government, and the rest of it, around 60%, was to be paid by the beneficiary. So whoever poor families house was being built under the scheme, he was the person who has to provide 60% of the cost. Okay. So herein you can actually you just have to read it. How did this scheme actually came into process? Yeah, how was the working on this? And finally, they are talking about what problem they found it in PMAY. So one problem they found it was that 60% cost. So many people were not able to afford this much 60% value of that project, because of which many people opted out of it. Apart from it, the other problem they started facing was that many of the projects were given to private players, and they started making towers like system. Started making multi-story building. And when you build a multi-story building, then there would be many residences in a single plot of land. So after a time, you have to start funding your electricity, your water facilities, etc., sewerage system, etc., are to be repaired by you. So these people who were living, who had shifted from slum areas, their income was not enough to cover the expenses for these. So because of which these facilities or these houses which were being built, the people who were living in there started leaving those places and started again to live back in a slum area. Apart from it, the other problem which was faced was that these plots which were allotted under this particular scheme were built in a far off area, so they were away from the center of a particular city, etc. So the people were actually spending a lot on the travel expenses or transport. So, and there was also a time issue also, because you were spending time in transport also. So because of this also, this scheme was failing, at least in the urban area. How it would pan out in Grameen area is not argued here, and it is not the particular topic, the particular agenda of this article also. So only the overview of Prime Minister Awas Yojana in the urban area is being discussed here. Okay, so basically, a basic idea has been given to you about this Prime Minister Awas Yojana. So again, I'll reply to Joe. Again, I'll tell you that you don't have to go through the data which is provided here. You just have to get an idea what this Prime Minister Awas Yojana is. What are the two types of component, urban and Gramin? When it was started, when was its target year? What kind of scheme it is? It's a central sector sponsored scheme like this. What were the reason why it failed, etc. Just have a understanding of it. Do not make notes out of it. Okay. So notes would be only limited to the 4.45 point, which I've already told you. Okay, moving on. So I thought I found this news, although it's only in brief, but it is an important news because women issues are important for you. So recently, the first women vice chancellor of AMU, Aligarh Muslim University, has been appointed, and her name is Naima Khatun. And this has been a very good year when it's come to women leadership, because not just in AMU, Jamia Millia Islamia also got its first women vice chancellor recently. Apart from it, JNU, your Jawaharlal Nehru University, also got its first women vice chancellor this year only. Okay, so there are three major central universities. All three are being headed by a women vice chancellor right now. So again, you will find the answer to these questions, these names. Who is the first women vice chancellor of JNU? Who is the first women vice chancellor of AMU in today's 20 GK? Okay. So before this, if you know the answer, before you go through those answers, you can mention those names in the comment box also. For example, just write down first women vice chancellor JNU XYZ and first women vice chancellor of AMU ABC. Okay, whatever their name. Okay, so Naima Khatun has become the first women vice chancellor of AMU. So I have put it here only so that you pay attention to such kind of first women or first person to win something, first person to get to a particular position, etc. These are also important for you. Next on the so this is a news from the business section. So right now there was a report yesterday. A report was released by RBI, wherein they have stated that inflation in India can increase in future. Inflation is vulnerable because there has been a recent climate reports regarding increase in heat waves. So there has been an increase in heat waves, and probably there would be a lack of rains also. Okay, monsoon would be very good. So IMD has stated that the monsoon are going to be above average. What IMD does not tell us is what would be the spatial distribution of it. For example, whether if the monsoon is going to be above average, it does not mean that all the states are going to have a above average rainfall. The rainfall in the whole of India would be on an above average level. It means that it is possible that Madhya Pradesh might receive twice the rainfall which it usually receives, and Rajasthan is only expecting only 50% of the rainfall as compared to last year. So the spatial distribution on the basis of space is not being told by this such a curriculum. So here the RBI in its report has argued that inflation can increase in India because of weather events basically. So Indian government, etc., agencies, private sector all should take care of this point that because of weather events, inflation can increase, which means it is important for the government to take steps to increase production right now and try to move towards such kind of crops and cereals which require less water, which requires less water. Moreover, apart from this, certain general information we should know that inflation in India is measured by consumer price index, and right now it has gone to 4.9. Earlier it was around 5.1%. It can again cross the threshold of 5%. It can again go above 5. Okay, so this has been argued here. And apart from it, this report has argued that inflation in India is not only vulnerable because of the weather situation. There are also geopolitical tension. So as you may know, there is a currently Israel-Hamas war going on, Russia-Ukraine war going on, and now Iran, which is also a friend of India. Iran is also a friend of India. US also a friend of India, and there are mutual dependence on each other. So because of geopolitical tension, also the inflation in India can rise in near future also. So that's why government should take pre-emptory steps to stop any kind of ill effects of rising. Moving on, so ethylene oxide. So it's from the okay. So sorry, this is from the Indian Express newspaper now. So like I told you on the first page, also MDH and Everest have been banned in Hong Kong and in other countries also, two three Singapore also, because they actually found traces of pesticides in it. And the particular pesticide which was found in the samples of these spices was ethylene oxide. So basically, it's an article about ethylene oxide. So here, if you read such kind of articles, you can actually find out that which is the regulating authority, which is the regulating authority for food safety in India. So it is FSSAI. And now the context has been provided. Now it is talking about ethylene oxide. So what kind of chemical it is? So it's a industrial chemical, colorless, highly inflammable, and it is used to kill bacteria, viruses, etc. And it is actually used as a fumigant. Fumigant. So usually it is sprayed so that there is no growth of bacteria, virus, fungi, etc. However, it is not for consumption purposes. It is not for consumption purposes. And here it has been told to us that as per doctors, even consuming this food in very low level at a very less amount can also lead to very high consequences. Like it is, since it is carcinogenic, which means it can lead to cancer. So if there is a low level exposure, even in this food, then it can actually lead to chronic persistent, can lead to actually risk of cancer like leukemia, stomach cancer, and breast cancer. So many kind of cancers a person can get if has a long term exposure to these kind of. So if there is a short time exposure that you got exposed to it only once or twice, but only in low level, there you might be saved from such kind of health risk. However, if it is continuing, it's a chronic exposure, it's a long term exposure, then you might develop certain kind of cancers and certain kinds of diseases also. Apart from it, certain other types of effects of such chemicals are also used. And then it is also telling you that European Union has actually even banned it for fumigation purpose. Fumigation is basically when you spray something to save it from diseases, etc., from insects, etc., pesticide controls. Even for fumigation, the use of such a chemical is also not allowed. So that's why this has come up in. So you can study about just what was the chemical, which was what was a pesticide, which was found in the with spices. Moving on. So this is the last topic for today. After this, we are going to do the 20 GK question. So right now, again, the context is basically the election rally, which was conducted by Prime Minister Modi, wherein he stated that the Congress is going to take away the land property, etc., of the Hindus, and it's going to redistribute it. And then he also pointed out that in Andhra Pradesh, the Muslims are going to are provided reservation, and they are going to take up. They're going to take up the shares of Hindus, and it was only a pilot project. And if would have become successful, or if it becomes successful, and the Congress is going to implement this particular reservation quota for Muslims all over India. So now here is some context given about whether Muslims are given reservation or not. So as you may know that in India, reservation is usually given to SC, ST, OBC, and apart from EWS. So this is the vertical reservation, particular categorization of reservation. And in this OBC, that OBC, many people get confused that OBC stands for other backward caste, but it is not caste but classes. Remember this, OBC stands for other backward classes. So it can be, this class can be a class of religion also, a group of religion also, people of religion also. They can belong to a caste also, they can belong to a particular sex also, sex or gender, like transgender, etc. Which means a person, a particular religion or people belonging to a particular religion can be classified as OBC. A particular person belonging to a particular caste can be classified as a OBC. A person belonging to transgender or women in general can be considered as a OBC class also. Okay, so remember this. It is not caste, it is class, which means Muslims can also be considered as a OBC class. So many communities, many Muslim communities. So it is not like ki, everyone who is a Muslim has no other sub identity. Okay, so there can be a person can be a Muslim, and there can be a caste also in a Muslim. And there is actually certain Muslims who belongs to upper caste. There is a caste system in Muslims also in India, as well as in Christian also in India, especially in Kerala. So there are certain castes in Muslims also, which can be considered or which are equivalent to SC/STs also. So their level of social and educational standard is actually up to a SC person only. So many of the states have started providing has been providing reservation to Muslims also. For example, here they have given you example of Karnataka, wherein Muslims are given a 4% sub quota out of the 32%. Okay, again, these figures are not important for you. You do not have to know this. Second, for example, they are given the example of Kerala, wherein there is an 8% Muslim quota in its 30% OBC quota. So out of the 30% OBC quota, 8% are reservation is provided in Kerala, and this reservation has been going on. Apart from it, other states are also there, like Tamil Nadu, Bihar. Therein, the Muslims are considered as an OBC, and certain caste in Muslims are being provided with the OBC quota. Next is a question about Andhra Pradesh. So herein they are particularly talking about what is the status in Andhra Pradesh, because this speech was given in Andhra. So the first attempt for to give reservation was tried in 2004, wherein the Congress government came up with an order, and as per that order, they stated that we are going to provide 5% reservation to Muslims under the OBC. However, this quota of 5% was actually in 2004 struck down as unconstitutional. So court said that such a reservation cannot be provided, and it provided them with two reasons. So first was that whenever a community is made up, is put into the OBC list, there is a requirement to consult the backward commission. So there was a state backward classes commission, and you have to consult that particular commission before you give this particular reservation to a particular community. And this was not done in this case. And the second thing is that you have provided reservation to all Muslims. So you have given a blanket reservation to all the Muslims, and you have not removed a creamy layer. So what is this concept of creamy layer? So I'll just give you a very small explanation. So there was a particular case known as Indra Sani case of 1992, which deals with OBC reservation. And herein they said that in the OBCs, whoever is made a OBC, let's say XYZ communities made OBC, people who are already socially forward and or educationally forward in those OBC classes also, they should be kept out of the reservation. And that class of people is known as creamy layer. For example, if I give you a real example, like for example, if your family income is more than rupees 8 lakhs, if your family income is more than your parent income is more than rupees 8 lakhs, then you would fall in the creamy layer section, and you won't be getting the benefit of the OBC reservation, which is provided to your caste also. Okay, so this is this. So both of these things did not qualify, because of which the Supreme Court cut it down. Then the second attempt was made, and this time again 5% quota was proposed for Muslims in Andhra Pradesh. And this time what the government did, that it actually consulted the backward class commission. It also considered the backward class commission. And the second thing which it did was that although it stated that although there is a requirement of creamy layer, the whole of Muslims in Andhra Pradesh actually qualified to be backward. So they made this statement that they all qualify to be backward. Then again, the High Court struck it down for stating that qualifying all of the Muslims as backward is not correct. Just making this statement is not enough. You should have provided data. So when the High Court struck it down, this time the government went to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court, as of now, has not given any answer. This issue is yet to be decided, because it stated that whether you can cross this 50% limit of Indra Sani would be once it is decided for EWS case, then only they're going to decide on this issue. So as of now, it is still in the it is still in the Supreme Court only. Let's see how the Supreme Court decides on it. Okay, so this is a basic overview of whether Muslims can be given reservation in OBC or not. So the general answer would be yes, they can be given reservation in the OBC as of now, provided two conditions which have been laid down, like there should be a consultation by backward commission, there should be data to support, and second, whether creamy layer is to be allowed or not allowed would be decided after the Supreme Court decides on this particular issue. Okay. So with this, we are done with the analysis for today, and now it's time to do the 20 GK questions. The first question is the Supreme Court has directed government to act on misleading ads by FMCG. What does FMCG stand for? And FMCG stands for fast moving consumer. For example, your shampoos, your biscuits, etc., which are consumed very fast. These are consumer goods. Basically, consumer is going to consume them, and basically they changes very fast. That's why fast moving consumer. The second is FSSAI is a statutory body responsible for food safety. It functions under which of the following ministry? And the answer is Ministry of Health. I actually cross-checked it on ChatGPT, and that's why I asked people not to rely on ChatGPT because as per ChatGPT, this is the correct answer. However, the correct answer is A. So I would advise all of you, if you are using ChatGPT for any factual information, at least for facts, do not try to use ChatGPT. Moving on, in India, how many political parties are recognized as national political parties by the Election Commission of India? As of now, there are 6 recognized national political parties as per ECA. Next, which is the largest Lok Sabha constituency in terms of geographical area in India? Is it Barmer? Is it Chandni Chowk? Is it Ladakh? Or is it Malkatgiri? And the answer is Ladakh, which is the largest Lok Sabha constituency, and it's the only constituency in the Union Territory of Ladakh, and it is the largest in terms of geographical. The other two, like the Chandni Chowk and Malkatgiri, they are also important. So it is. I'll leave you with a question, which is the largest Lok Sabha constituency in terms of population. In terms of population in India. So this is your task. If you know the answer, please mention in the comment box which is the largest Lok Sabha constituency in terms of population in India. Next question, which is the smallest Lok Sabha constituency in terms of geographical area in India? Is it Barmer? Is it Chandni Chowk? Is it Ladakh? Is it Malkatgiri? And the answer is the smallest is Chandni Chowk. So Chandni Chowk is actually the smallest Lok Sabha constituency in terms of geographical area. Next, India Aging Report has reported an increase in India's old age population. Which organization has published the report? Is it UNFPA? Is it IIPS? Is it Ministry of Health? Or is it both A and B? And the answer here is D, both A and B. So this report is published by both UNFPA and IIPS. Moving on, which organization published the Democracy Report 2024? And the answer is VDEM Institute. So all of these questions are actually from the Hindu newspaper only. You might not find the name of this particular institute. Although this institute is mentioned, the previous question is not mentioned. However, all of these are relevant questions for your exam and have been taken because a particular topic related to it has been asked. Next is, as per the Liberal Democratic Index in the Democracy Report 2024, India has been categorized as so it is electoral autocracy, and we actually discuss it also. Which law empowers a district magistrate, SDM, or any other magistrate to issue orders to prevent or stop any nuisance or disturbance of public tranquility? And we know Section 144 of CRPC is the answer. And now your task one question, which I would like to know is, do you know when BNS, your Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita and your Bharatiya Nagrik Suraksha Sanhita, when are they going to be enforced? So as of now, they have not become enforceable, and the ministry has decided, Ministry of Life, provide you with a particular date from which these would become implementable. What is that particular date? Next, in context of Gukesh becoming the youngest to qualify for World Chess Championship, who was the first Indian to qualify for the World Chess Championship? And the answer here is B, Vishwanath Anand. Moving on, income and wealth inequality in India, a working paper on income inequality in India was published by which of the following organization? And the answer for this is A, World Inequality Lab. Next, what is India's rank in the Human Development Report out of 193 countries? So answer here is C, 130. Next, which of the following the neighboring countries of India is ranked below it in the Human Development Report? So the country which is below India in the HDR report is actually Myanmar. These 3 countries, including Bangladesh, is above when it comes to HDI index. Next, Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana is actually a government flagship scheme for affordable housing. So what is the target year for completion of the scheme? So the answer would be 2020, 2022. So if I talk about the general scheme Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, it would be 2022. If I talk specifically about Prime Minister Awas Yojana Gramin component, it would be 2024. However, the question is only asking about the Prime Minister Awas Yojana or the main scheme. Next is which period is referred to as the silence period in the context of election India. And I'll explain you what is silence period. Silence period is a period in which no public campaigning or political campaigning is allowed. No campaigning is allowed. Okay, so it is the answer here is C, the 48 hours preceding the polling day. So whenever the voting is going to start from that day, a political party or a candidate is not allowed to do any kind of campaigning 2 days from. Next question, who has been appointed as the first woman Vice Chancellor of Aligarh Muslim University? So we have done this also. It is Naima Khatun, and as I asked you, the answer for the first woman Chancellor of Jawaharlal Nehru University is Shanti Sri Dulapita Pandit. Professor Najma Akhtar is the first woman Vice Chancellor of Jamia Millia Islamia. And Fatima Bibi, who recently died and also was awarded Padam Bhushan, was actually the first woman Supreme Court judge. Moving on, so NABARD has unveiled its climate strategy 2030 document. It was created in which year? So NABARD was created in which year? It's a very simple question, and the answer here is 1980. Next, as per RBI, extreme weather event could pose a risk to inflation. Inflation in India is measured by which of the following indices? So we have discussed this also. It is Consumer Price Index. Now, two questions from the sports section. Who among the following has been named as the Laureus World Sportsman of the Year 2024? And the answer here is Novak Djokovic. Lionel Messi was the winner last year. Mark Verstappen was the winner for 2022. And Aitana Bonmatí is actually the winner of this year only, but in the women's, women's section. And finally, the last question. So, which cricketer holds a record for being the highest run scorer in ODI cricket? And the answer is Sachin Tendulkar, who is actually celebrating his 51st birthday today. So, that's why I've asked you this question. So, a gift to all the cricket lovers today. So, a question from a god of the cricket in India, Sachin Tendulkar. So, class, that's it from my side. These were the 20 GK questions for today. I hope to see you in the next class when we are going to do the important news headlines from that day. And apart from it, we are also going to look at the 20 GK question. So that's it from my side. Thank you and have a very nice